Hello again, and next up we're gonna be looking at the Seleucids, one of the other really overpowered factions in patch 7. And as usual, the Seleucids have a pretty versatile lineup in terms of general and other units. Uh, I'll just go through them per category. So we have the melee infantry category, and here the Seleucids aren't exactly spoiled for choice. They have hillmen who are slightly better at charging and melee attacks than in the main game. Yeah, I've increased the melee attack by quite a bit and the charge bonus as well. So they'll be cost effective if you get them to flank. And Torque Swordsmen, they're better than they used to be, nothing spectacular. And then we have the Silver Shield Swordsmen, and yeah, they're a good unit, quite comparable to the Royal Torque Swordsmen. If you look at the they basically have +2 defense and +10 cost, so quite similar. They'll do well against hoplites and the like, but not so much against barbarian infantry. And then we have the Royal Peltasts. They're a good unit, have a good base morale. They aren't too heavily changed, so they'll do well against. They're pretty comparable to the Roman infantry. A bit weaker than the Praetorian Guards, roughly at the same power level as the Armored Legionnaires. And then next up we have the Spear Infantry, and here you'll see the first change, the cost of the Persian hoplites has been raised a bit. But I think they also have slightly better melee attack and slightly better melee defense, so they're still a very useful unit. Then we have the Tureo Spears. Again, they're a good cavalry killing unit. And at last we have the Shield Bearers. And I haven't changed too much regarding the hoplites. They're quite similar to what they used to be. Slightly weaker charge and slightly better melee defense. And the cost has stayed the same. So in a sense the hoplites have stayed the same, but nearly all elite sword infantry has had price increases or price decreases. So they'll still be. The hoplites are very versatile because they have those huge shields, spears, and the hoplite wall, which is quite nice, although it's not as flexible as it used to be. And they also have the square, which is handy if you get outflanked. Yeah. And then we move on to the pikes. And they have a pretty similar pike lineup to, for example, Macedon. But the difference is that they have weaker elite pikes, but the silver shields are also cheaper than the foot companions, so a decent option. And as you might see, the statistic difference between a silver shield and a thorax pike is not too big. The big differences are armor and melee attack. And they have a good selection of missile infantry. I think the Persian light archers and the Eastern slingers are the mainstay, and I've slightly reduced the cost of slingers and archers. And also actually slightly reduce the cost of Persian light archers. And I think I haven't done anything else to these units. Then we have the shock cavalry, and The game of cavalry, well, they're your usual shock infantry, or shock cavalry, usual companions. I've slightly increased their melee defense, and I've also increased the acceleration and turn speeds of shock cavalry, so shock cavalry is a bit more maneuverable than your regular melee cavalry, with the exception of the cataphracts. The cataphracts have had quite a big cost increase. Well, actually not big, comparable to the rest, so I've increased their cost by 50, but I've also increased their melee defense by 3, so they're a bit sturdier in melee than they used to be, and they're very, very effective. And then we come to the melee cavalry options, and here the best options are the Asset Knights. They're a bit more offensive than they used to be, but they're more expensive, and their melee defense has been reduced, so they're not as great a unit as they used to be. And the median cavalry, it's more comparable to the noble blood now, and it's a good cavalry unit. I think that will set the world on fire. Will work. And with the skirmisher cav units, they have skirmisher cav, camel archers, and the horse skirmishers, and the Tarentine cavalry. And the big difference here is that I've increased the price of horse skirmishers because they're quite beastly with the party and shot, so they're very useful unit. And then we have their two special units, or two special unit types. We have the chariots, which are quite a lot weaker than they used to be, but very deadly against braced infantry. And then we have the two elephant options, the Indian war elephants, which are closer to price with the African ones now, because they're not that deadly due to their low melee attack and poor charge bonus. And then we have the Indian armored elephants, and as you might notice, they actually have the same health as the Indian war elephants now, but they have increased armor. So they're a bit more vulnerable, but they're also more resistant against ranged fire due to a greater amount of armor. So they've also had a hefty cost increase, so they're deadly, but you have to pay for them, and they won't always win you the battle. That's about it. But yeah, overall the Seleucids, they're versatile, and they have good elite units in almost every category, but their middle range units aren't anything to be very... I mean, their middle units, they're okay, but they won't win you battles, and they'll probably be weaker than the mid-range units of more specialized factions, so Seleucids really need to use their versatility and their strong cataphracts and elephants for good results. But yeah, hope you enjoy using the Seleucids, and I'll gladly listen to feedback on how to balance them. Thank you.